To shift from an employee mindset to a value creator mindset, you must first understand what those two ways of thinking really mean. An employee mindset is when you see yourself primarily as someone who exchanges hours for a paycheck. You wait for instructions, follow someone else's plan, and depend entirely on their system for your income. This is not inherently wrong. Jobs can teach discipline, responsibility, and skill. But when you live your entire life in this mode, you limit your potential. You rely on others to decide your worth, and your growth is often tied to the opportunities they give you, not the ones you create for yourself. A value creator mindset is completely different. It's when you see yourself not just as someone who can do a job, but as someone who can solve problems, meet needs, and bring benefit to people on your own terms. You stop asking, "Who will hire me?" and start asking, "Who needs what I can offer?" Instead of being only a worker in someone else's dream, you become the builder of your own. You identify skills, knowledge, or resources you have, and you think of ways to turn them into something others will appreciate, use, and pay for. The truth is, every single person has something they can offer, but the employee mindset often makes you blind to it. You're trained to look for vacancies instead of opportunities. You're told to wait until you are qualified enough, rather than learning how to use what you already know. Shifting to a value creator mindset means you stop waiting for the perfect conditions. You start with what you have. If you can cook, you can feed people. If you can repair, you can fix people's problems. If you can teach, you can help people learn. Even the smallest skill, when applied consistently, can grow into something significant. This shift also changes the way you see risk. An employee mindset often fears stepping out because of the security a job provides. But value creators understand that depending on one source of income is actually riskier than having multiple small streams you control. If you lose a job, your income disappears overnight. But if you've built something yourself, you can adapt, change, and keep moving even when one part of your work slows down. It's also important to understand that creating value doesn't always mean starting a massive company. It can be something small, done from your home or online. The beauty of today's world is that technology has removed many barriers. You can reach customers without a physical shop, showcase your work without expensive advertising, and connect with people across the globe. What you need is not permission, it's the willingness to act. Another benefit of this mindset shift is that it puts you in control of your time. In a job, your schedule is decided for you. As a value creator, you decide when to work and how much to take on. Of course, this comes with responsibility. You must be disciplined, committed, and willing to keep learning. But the reward is freedom, not just financial, but personal. Most importantly, this change allows you to live with purpose. You're not just earning to survive, you're building something that reflects who you are and benefits others. And when you approach your work with sincerity, honesty, and a desire to serve, you attract trust and loyalty. People don't just pay you for a product or service, they support you because they see the integrity behind it. In the end, shifting from an employee mindset to a value creator mindset is not about abandoning jobs entirely, but about expanding your vision. See yourself as more than a worker. See yourself as a source of value in the world. Once you believe that, you will start noticing opportunities everywhere, and you'll realize that your potential was never limited by the job market, but by your own mindset. Instead of spending endless hours perfecting a CV, updating it again and again, and sending it to countless companies, you should focus your time and energy on developing practical skills that solve real problems. A piece of paper that lists your qualifications is only one way to introduce yourself to the world, and it is becoming less powerful in a world where people want results, not just credentials. Many times, employers and clients are far more impressed when they see you can actually do something that benefits them, rather than reading about what you might be able to do. Developing skills is about becoming capable in areas that matter. It's about being able to fix, build, create, or improve something for someone else. When you focus on skill building, you're making yourself valuable in a way that goes beyond a job description. You're no longer just a candidate hoping to be chosen. You become a solution provider that people actively seek out. This is a completely different position to be in. Instead of competing with hundreds of others for the same position, you create your own position in the marketplace. Think about it. If you learn how to design websites, you can help small businesses create an online presence. If you learn baking, you can cater events and sell to your community. If you master the art of repairing electronics, you can serve anyone whose devices break down. These are not just hobbies. They are real solutions to everyday problems, and people will pay for solutions. A CV may show that you studied IT, but building and showcasing an actual website for a client proves you can deliver results. Another key point is that skill development is within your control. You don't need to wait for someone to hire you in order to improve your abilities. You can practice, learn online, volunteer, or create your own small projects to gain experience. Every hour you spend refining your craft is an investment that will pay you back for years. Unlike a job title, which can disappear when the company closes or the position is cut, a skill remains with you no matter where you go. It becomes part of who you are, and it can open doors you never imagined. In today's economy, many people are realizing that employers are looking for those who can contribute from day one. They don't want to spend months training someone to do basic tasks. They prefer those who can hit the ground running. This is where practical skills give you an edge. You don't just tell them you can work, you show them you can solve their problem immediately. Furthermore, having practical skills allows you to work independently if needed. You can take freelance projects, start a side business, or collaborate with others on creative ventures. Even if you still choose to work a job, these skills give you leverage. You're not trapped because you know you can create income outside of your employer. This freedom changes your mindset completely. You work with confidence, not desperation, and here is something many overlook. Practical skills often grow faster than formal qualifications. You can spend years earning a degree, but you can learn a marketable skill in a matter of months if you're consistent and committed. This doesn't mean education is unimportant, but it does mean that skill building should never be ignored or postponed. The two can go hand in hand, but skills give you immediate earning potential while your qualifications provide long-term credibility. So instead of polishing your CV until it shines but still waiting for someone's approval, start polishing your abilities until they are undeniable. Let your work speak for itself, because in the real world, actions and results will always outweigh words on paper. When you can solve problems, you don't have to chase opportunities, they begin to chase you. Small beginnings are often overlooked because people are too focused on the end result. They imagine success as something huge, glamorous, and instantly impressive, so they feel discouraged when what they have in their hands looks tiny and insignificant. But every large business, every movement, every achievement that inspires us today began as something small, sometimes even invisible to others. The problem is not that people start small. The problem is that many people never start at all because they think small is not worth it. When you begin with what you have, even if it seems little, you give yourself the opportunity to grow. You might have only one client, one product, or one idea at the start. That's enough. The tree that shades an entire village was once a seed hidden under the soil, unseen and unnoticed. If you refuse to plant your seed because it's too small, you will never see the fruit. This is why patience and consistency are crucial. Growth is not instant, but it is inevitable if you nurture what you start. One of the greatest advantages of starting small is that it teaches you valuable lessons with minimal risk. When you operate on a small scale, mistakes cost less. You can experiment, learn, adjust, and improve without losing everything. This early phase allows you to build a strong foundation before expanding. It's like learning to walk before running. Rushing to go big without experience can lead to collapse. Small beginnings also build resilience. At the start, things may move slowly and progress might be hard to see. But this slow pace forces you to develop patience, discipline, and problem-solving skills. By the time you reach a larger scale, you will already know how to handle challenges because you faced them when the stakes were smaller. The struggles of the early days prepare you for the weight of success later on. Another reason small beginnings are powerful is that they allow you to focus on quality. When you have a limited number of customers or projects, you can give them your full attention. This builds trust and a reputation for excellence, which is the most powerful marketing you can have. People will talk about your work, recommend you to others, and help you grow without you spending huge amounts on advertising. It's also important to remember that small beginnings help you remain humble and connected to your work. When you've done the hard work yourself from the ground up, you understand every step of the process. This knowledge makes you a better leader when you eventually have a team, because you know exactly what it takes to get the job done. Too many people delay action because they think they need large capital, perfect conditions, or a detailed long-term plan. But the truth is, perfection is an illusion, and waiting for it is just an excuse. If all you have is one skill, one tool, or one opportunity, that is still enough to start. You can grow your business, expand your reach, and improve your quality along the way. History and personal stories are full of examples of small beginnings leading to great independence. Famous entrepreneurs often started from their garages, kitchens, or tiny offices. Farmers begin with a single plot. Teachers start with one student, writers begin with one page. What matters is not the size of the start, but the size of the vision and the willingness to keep going. So, instead of looking at your small beginning as a limitation, see it as a blessing. It's your training ground, your foundation, and your first step toward independence. Every great journey begins with a single step, and the sooner you take that step, the sooner you will see the path open before you. Your humble start today could be the reason you stand tall tomorrow. Financial freedom is not just about having a lot of money in the bank. It is about being able to live your life without being completely dependent on a single source of income or on the decisions of others. Many people believe that a high-paying job automatically means financial freedom, but that's not true. If all of your income comes from one paycheck, you are still in a vulnerable position. If that paycheck stops, everything stops. True financial freedom is when you can sustain yourself and your family through multiple streams of income, where losing one source does not destroy your stability. This journey towards self-reliance begins with a mindset shift. You have to stop thinking like someone who only works to survive from month to month and start thinking like someone who builds systems that keep producing income over time. This doesn't mean you must quit your job immediately. It means you start creating other avenues of income alongside it. These streams could be small at first, but the goal is to grow them until they can sustain you independently if needed. One of the keys to financial freedom is understanding the concept of assets, things that bring money into your life rather than take it out. Skills, businesses, investments, intellectual property, and even certain possessions can be assets. Instead of spending everything you earn on temporary pleasures or liabilities that cost you more over time, you use part of your earnings to acquire or build assets. Over time, these assets generate money, and that money can be reinvested to create even more assets. This is how wealth quietly grows. Financial freedom also requires discipline. It's tempting to spend as soon as you have money, but building independence means prioritizing savings, investments, and business growth over unnecessary luxuries. This doesn't mean living in deprivation. It means being wise and intentional with your spending. You learn to delay gratification, knowing that the comfort you're building for your future will be far greater and more lasting than the short-term excitement of an impulse purchase. Another important aspect of self-reliance is learning to reduce dependency on unstable sources. Jobs can end without warning, markets can change, and industries can collapse. When your survival depends on only one employer, one customer, or one product, you are putting your security in a fragile position. Multiple income streams act as a safety net. If one slows down, the others keep you afloat. And here is a truth many people overlook. Financial freedom is not achieved overnight. It is a gradual process of building, testing, failing, learning, and trying again. You might start with a small online business, a service you provide on weekends, a property you rent out, or products you sell in your community. These small ventures may not make you rich instantly, but they build resilience and confidence. Over time, as you reinvest profits and gain experience, they can grow into significant sources of income. With financial independence comes more than just money. It brings freedom of choice. You can choose where to live, how to spend your time, and which projects to work on. You're not forced into decisions because of financial pressure. This allows you to focus on work that aligns with your values and passions rather than only chasing the highest paycheck. Finally, true financial freedom carries with it the blessing of generosity. When your own needs are met without fear of lack, you can help others more easily. You can support causes you believe in, provide for your family's future, and contribute to your community without worrying that your giving will leave you without. So remember, financial freedom is not a distant dream reserved for the wealthy. It's a path anyone can walk with consistent effort, discipline, and a willingness to start building now. The sooner you start, the sooner you can live a life where your work serves you instead of you serving your work. Purpose-driven work is one of the most fulfilling ways to earn a living because it connects what you do every day with a greater meaning. When you create something that benefits others, you are not just exchanging time for money, you are building a legacy, making a difference, and leaving behind something that can outlast you. This sense of contribution fuels motivation in a way that money alone never can. Money can provide comfort and security, but purpose gives life richness and direction. Many people feel empty in their work because they do not see the value it brings beyond their paycheck. They spend years doing tasks that have no deeper connection to their beliefs, values, or passions. As a result, even when they earn well, they may feel unfulfilled or restless. Purpose-driven work changes that dynamic. It turns your skills, talents, and resources into tools for service. It transforms the way you see your efforts, because every action is tied to a bigger vision. Finding purpose in your work begins with asking the right questions. What problems do I care about solving? Whose lives do I want to improve? What skills do I have that can genuinely help others? When you align your work with these answers, you create something people truly appreciate, not just because it's useful, but because it's built from sincerity and intention. This sincerity is powerful. People can sense when you care about their benefit, and that trust builds loyalty. Another beautiful thing about purpose-driven work is that it motivates you through challenges. Every journey has struggles, slow sales, difficult clients, market changes, but when your work is tied to a mission you believe in, you keep going because it's no longer just about you. You see the bigger picture and understand that your efforts are contributing to something meaningful. This makes you resilient, because quitting would mean abandoning not just an income, but a cause you care about deeply. Purpose-driven work also naturally attracts opportunities. People want to support businesses and individuals who stand for something positive. When you are known for honesty, quality, and care, you become more than just a seller. You become a trusted part of people's lives. Customers become advocates, sharing your work with others, not just because they like your product or service, but because they believe in what you represent. It's important to remember that purpose does not mean you have to save the entire world in one step. It could be something simple, like helping people eat healthier, making homes more beautiful, teaching skills that empower others, or repairing things that make life easier. These small acts have a ripple effect. You might think you are just serving one person at a time, but each person you help can go on to help others. That's how purpose multiplies. Another benefit is the personal growth that comes from meaningful work. When your efforts are rooted in purpose, you push yourself to keep improving, not because you are forced to, but because you want to give your best. You learn, adapt, and innovate to serve better. This growth spills over into other areas of life, making you a more thoughtful, capable, and compassionate person. Ultimately, purpose-driven work blends earning with serving. It allows you to provide for yourself and your family while knowing that your work is making a positive difference in the world. It creates a balance between financial gain and spiritual satisfaction. When you work with intention, every sale, every project, every service becomes an act of contribution. And the reward is not just in the income you receive, but in the knowledge that you are living a life that matters, not just to you, but to the people whose lives you've touched. When you stop chasing jobs and start creating value on your own, you place your trust not in a single employer or organization, but in the one who blessed you with your abilities, time, and resources. This is the deepest shift that changes everything. It's moving from living at the mercy of someone's approval to living with the freedom of knowing your provision comes ultimately from Allah. This doesn't mean abandoning effort or responsibility. Rather, it means aligning your work with the understanding that your sustenance is not limited to one path. Relying only on jobs can make you feel powerless because your income depends on decisions you can't control, management changes, company policies, or economic shifts. But when you start something of your own, no matter how small, you take back a measure of control. You decide when to work, how to grow, and where to focus. This sense of ownership is empowering. It reminds you that your future is shaped by the actions you take, not just the opportunities you're given. Working for yourself also creates flexibility in how you live. You're no longer confined to a fixed schedule unless you choose to be. If you want to spend more time with family, travel, or pursue learning, you can adjust your work accordingly. This flexibility is not just a luxury. It's a blessing that allows you to prioritize what truly matters in life. For many, this balance is far more valuable than a high salary that comes with constant stress and time pressure. When you build your own path, you also develop qualities that jobs often don't teach as quickly: resourcefulness, creativity, and adaptability. You learn how to solve problems without waiting for instructions, how to find opportunities where others see none, and how to navigate uncertainty with patience. These qualities don't just help in business. They strengthen your character, making you more capable in all areas of life. One of the most powerful aspects of this approach is that it opens the door to creating opportunities for others. When you start even a small business or service, you might eventually hire help, collaborate with other professionals, or partner with suppliers. In doing so, you're not only providing for yourself, you're becoming a source of sustenance for others. This is a form of sadaqah jariyah, a continuous charity, because the benefit of giving someone a means to earn can extend far beyond a single moment. Of course, starting your own journey requires effort, discipline, and patience. There will be challenges, slow days, unexpected costs, and moments of doubt. But unlike in a job where your challenges often benefit someone else's vision, here every struggle you overcome builds your own foundation. Each lesson learned is an asset that strengthens your long-term success. It's also important to remember that creating value doesn't have to be grand or complex. Many successful ventures are built from simple ideas done with excellence, providing a needed service, making a useful product, or sharing valuable knowledge. The key is to start now, even if your steps are small. Waiting for the perfect time is one of the biggest traps because the perfect time rarely comes. But the moment you start, you begin learning and improving, and each day brings you closer to stability and growth. Ultimately, when you stop chasing jobs as your only option and start creating something of your own, you are declaring that you will use the blessings you've been given to take responsibility for your livelihood. You're choosing independence over dependence, action over waiting, and courage over fear. And with sincerity, honesty, and reliance on Allah, you will find that your provision flows in ways you never imagined. and because you have unlocked doors that were always within your reach, waiting for you to turn the key.